Your inbox, pointless meetings, group chat notifications, text messages, posting, and scrolling social media, phone calls have all entered the chat at once. All of the markers of busyness and doing zero things that are actually productive, leaving you feeling exhausted, have all arrived here. Thoughts of, can I just get 2 minutes of peace and quiet, have been swirling in your mind, and yet you just can't seem to escape it. Today, I'm talking all about the deep work. Come along with me as we walk through what doing deep work can uncover for you. You are listening to That Big CEO Energy, where we talk all things business, life, marriage to create an impactful community, teaching you how to lead your life and your business with compassionate strength. It can be scary stepping out from the barriers we still carry while we were once employees and change the narrative to take charge of your business and team. This podcast is a place for you to come to learn to do just that. From personal experiences, interviewing new friends, I hope that you will tune in to listen all that living that big CEO energy can offer you and your business. I'm your host, Callie, entrepreneur and fractional COO. Let's jump in. When people say that they do the deep work, the word deep really is something that is rooted in you. It's really the ability to spend uninterrupted time with complete focus on you, your tasks that matter, and with people you genuinely enjoy. But that also means creating a team that you can leverage and a community of people who encourage you. I'll share this. My first year in business, I would wake up, head straight to my desk, and work until I thought I could reach a point of feeling good about my stopping point. I was on the grind, and I was literally in the building phase of my business. And looking back, I recognized that there was a ton of busyness to my building blocks of my business. And what I mean by that is I am exceptional at what I do, but I wasn't giving myself nearly enough credit and nearly enough space to digest what I was doing in the day-to-day. And I wasn't pulling myself out into the 500-foot view or even the 10,000-foot view to say, what is the bigger picture? What is really happening? What are the things that I want to work on every day? And for me, I was distracted and was sourcing other distractions to make me think that I needed to do what everyone else was doing. I needed to pay attention to social media, other business owners who had made it, in order to prove that I could make it too. Enter my deep work. Really, the turn of 2022 was the moment that I realized that I am here to pave my own way. I am here to make my business different because I too am different. I didn't want just any client I could get. I really wanted clients who were also thought leaders in their own zone of genius. That was also breaking barriers in their own industries and paving the way for the generations to come. When I look at the scope of the people that I work with now, and the wonderful, wonderful clients that I have now, I am so proud to say that I am functioning with a caliber of women who really understand what being in their own zone of genius is and are thought leaders in their respective industries. But to be honest, this deep work that I had to do came with the realization that I needed to reduce the distractions further to be able to push my cognitive capabilities to their limit. And I really needed to unpack what I wanted to show up as in the little corner of the internet, in my life, and most importantly, for me as a human. And when I look at the community of women that I've surrounded myself around, being able to do the deep work is so much easier because I know too that they are doing their deep work. This deep work didn't come in the form of naturally filling our day. It came with being super intentional with time and the actual work that is being put out. And now I find myself declining random Zoom meetings, random Zoom meet and greets, declining meeting up with my friends at coffee shops in the middle of my day when I know that I have to specifically carve out that time to complete a task. And I also decline any work that doesn't set my soul on fire or feel like I'm making more of an impact than making a dollar. And that is a really, really easy place to get into when you start getting on the traction of people want more of you, right? People want what you're selling, people want your services. And that's not to say that they aren't allowed to have some capacity of you. But I think it's important for us as a business owner to really understand what our internal capacity is. And our internal capacity isn't when our bank account is being filled. Our internal capacity is only when we are making an impact that matters with the people that matter in our lives. And I walked away from a lot this first quarter. And I'll share with you that it feels actually really, really good to say that now. Like being able to be in the position to walk away and say to someone, I'm not your person. I'm not the person that can do this work for you, but I know someone who can is a wonderful feeling because I know that pushing back those people that I know I'm not able to serve with a complete heart and a complete capacity only opens up the opportunity for me to be that much more within my current clients, within my current work, and the things that I want to do for my own business. And so this ability to perform this deep work on yourself is pretty rare these days, but isn't it really the most valuable thing in ourselves and really to the economy? But when you unpack all of the things that you are doing frivolously in your life because you think that A, you need to, or you need to figure out what exactly is meaningful, or B, make that the core of your working life, you will thrive. When I felt like my wheels were just spinning and I was getting nowhere, I did some key things in my deep work to help understand why I felt that way. But first, I had to develop my strategy. For example, I know that I function better on my projects that need high attention in the morning. And I have made it my mission to get up before everybody else in my house, aside from my husband, who gets up at 4:30 in the morning. We'll get there someday. Today is not the day. Tomorrow probably isn't either, nor is next week. Let's just be real about it. But I've gotten up before at least the child, and to sit down and spend that time to do my deep work. And so what really is my deep work is projects that have deadlines. I'm able to devote my brain to more creative and sometimes analytical aspects. So I have to move all of my meetings, all of everything that is just what's called the shallow work to the afternoon. I do have a few morning meetings that occur, but most of the time I really like to give myself that space so that I am being served, but then also my clients are being served with the level of project work to the highest caliber. And so in the afternoon is usually where I do my mindless action work that is just routine. But the deep work that really requires me myself before I do anything else to set the tone of my day is journaling, really identifying what it is that I'm doing in my business. What are my goals? What are my aspirations? Sitting with those business goals and personal goals that I have for myself and carving out a strategy to be able to then move forward, whether that is doing things myself, hiring other people, really creating a framework for what I want to be as a successful entrepreneur. And let's not mince words. Success is an individual track for each one of us. There is no, contrary to popular belief, there is no ceiling. There's no threshold. There's no key definition for success because society has it paved in our brain that if you're not making six figures, if you're not making $1 million, if you're not showing everyone what it is that you are successful at, then you're not successful. And I caution that. I caution that because if you are the mom who is the stay-at-home, who is running the ship, who is making sure that all of the to-do lists are done and the house is clean and your family is being served, and that is one of your passions, you are successful. My God, having children thrive and quite frankly, stay alive during the day, you are successful. You are a warrior. If you're the working mom or the dad, even if you're a stay-at-home dad, I want to make sure that we are laying out that you are successful as well as a dad. If you are a stay-at-home dad, you have a very important responsibility. But if you are a working parent outside of the home or working from home, you are still successful. And why are you successful? You are successful because you get up every day and you show up. You show up. You show up for the people that need you. You show up for yourself. And if you're struggling with showing up for yourself, then that's a whole other thing that we need to talk about. But doing the deep work and uncovering, right? Peeling back the onion layers really gives us a compass of what we want in our life and really identifies some true aspects of who am I? What is the journey that I'm on? And who am I serving? Knowing and understand how you work and what it is that you need is so key to your quote unquote success. I know that I've mentioned my morning routine here, and that has not gone away. That is actually a very integral part in setting up my mind for the deep work. But being able to prepare my mind by going to the gym, journaling, eating a nourishing meal, and stimulating my brain by reading allows me to gain my composure for my brain to be more intentional and more thoughtful. But knowing and understanding how I work was a big proponent of making this deep work successful for me. So if you're struggling to sort of determine when would be the best to do the deep work, really look at what your energy level is in the highest part of your day. So really look at when your energy is the highest throughout your day. Where can you eliminate distractions and what part of the day helps you the most? Some people are night owls, and go you. I don't love the mornings, and I know I mentioned this in my morning routine. I don't love them. I don't. If I could sleep until noon, I would. But I also know that sleeping until noon also makes me feel like I've accomplished nothing throughout the day. And I feel so much better. And I'm telling myself this as I'm telling you this. I feel so much better when I get up in the morning and it is silent and the world is still to take my me time, do the quiet, slow morning, and then rev up the rest of my afternoon and the rest of my day. And then pretty much by the late afternoon, I'm good. I am ready to get going, which gives me my second boost of energy throughout the day. But really the key for me is having this slow morning. My husband will share with you that I am awful in the morning before caffeine, and before I actually wake up. He, when his alarm goes off, can bounce out of bed, get his clothes on, and be on with the rest of his day. Me, I hit the snooze button multiple times. It's what I do here. We're not going to judge me. And when I get up, I need to have quiet. I need to just sort of be in my feels and wake up and gather my brain. It takes a little bit longer for my brain to kick on. And, it's just a testament of like when one person is one way and the other person is another, they marry each other and we're happily married. So it is what it is. But my point here is that in order to remain focused, building my deep work routine was crucial. So in my routine, I determine how long it will be, what requirements I have, and what the structure looks like. So for me, this looks like putting on music that stimulates my brain. Usually this is classical. There's been multiple studies done that, when you are listening to classical music or any instrumental music, it actually stimulates your brain in a different kind of way. So I usually listen to classical, or there's a coffee shop. If you're an Apple Music user, there's a coffee shop channel. I love listening to that. But also putting my phone on airplane mode. I don't do this a ton, but I do this when I need to do things specifically for my business and I need to get out of my own head. So that is really good because it just eliminates the distraction of me wanting to get on Instagram or, answering text message, whatever that is. I need to be able to put it on airplane mode and something triggers in my brain. And if this serves you, that's great. But putting my phone on airplane mode signals in my brain like it's not available. I don't know if that's from me flying and, when you put your phone on airplane mode, it's not available. But that is just one of the triggers that I know in my brain that when I do that, it invokes something in me. So if that's helpful to you. And setting a timer. I have really come to love setting timers. I see a lot of people when they're doing cleaning routines and trying to get as much done as they possibly can. So setting a timer is really helpful for me. And I do this usually in half-hour increments. Another bonus for me is putting my desk in the standing position. This really helps stimulate my mind and helps me to remain focused. This is not a plug. I am not sponsored in any way by FlexiSpot, but I will tell you that the FlexiSpot desk has changed my life. And so shout out to my husband for getting me exactly what I wanted for Christmas because it's been wonderful. And so standing up really just changes the way that my brain operates. But moving on, when determining the project, I usually pick the hardest project to do during this time frame. So if I know that I really have to make progress and this project is either going to have a deadline or I've given myself a deadline of when I want something completed, that is the thing that I am picking in the half an hour time frame. That is exactly what I'm doing. And so when I do that, knowing that I'm full well walking into sort of this preparation for this deep work helps me prepare my mind that it is required to be attentive and distraction free. So when I see on my calendar business activities, that's just what I've labeled it. I know that I need to be prepared to be doing this deep work. And I am also closing out other browsers, setting down other to-do lists, and positioning myself to be successful in the deep work so that I can grow through it. It's really something instrumental when you allow yourself, and I'm using the term allow because you have to give yourself permission. If you choose to not give yourself permission and force yourself to do it, you won't have the same result. This deep work really is a time for you to celebrate. It's really a time to get to know yourself, to get to know the work that you want to do. And it allows you to really grow and flourish in a way that you are proud of. You can work through the motions and you can get things done and you're just like, yeah, I got it done and this is great. But allowing you to have a growth period and learn even from yourself, really tuning into, that sort of triggered me when I had to go and research that. Why? Why is that a trigger? Let's talk about that. Let's work through that. All of this deep work, when you can allow yourself to grow through it, it turns out that it was way better than even you anticipated. So think about that. And sometimes, though, when the home office isn't cutting it, and I know the distractions of home life will get me, and this is just my final tip for having the routine, I will take my earbuds, my laptop, and head to the coffee shop or even the library. Like the quietness of the library is unmatched. Am I right? For real though, like when was the last time, think about this, when was the last time you went to the library just to read, just to work in quiet, or just to be still? If you don't have a local library, I'm sorry, but if you are an avid library goer, then you know what I'm talking about. But those people that are like, man, I haven't been to a library and I can't tell you how long, maybe you choose to go work there. Maybe you choose to even go and do your deep work there and journal and just be still. And it doesn't have to be in the morning, right? It can be whenever your time allows, but someplace that will allow your brain to remove distractions, because that's the key here, and allow you to utilize your brain in a different way is really what we're after. Part of this deep work also has to include accountability sessions. This is really the reflection period of what I was able to accomplish and what is next, and planning for what I will have for my next session. So for me, that looks like putting things on my Google Calendar, making my to-do list in the notes section so that when I arrive at that section, I only am working on X, Y, and Z. I'm only working on X. I'm only working on the thing that is in there. It does not require me to make an additional to-do list. I'm showing up and I see in my notes section, I have to get this done. I know all of the little nuanced things, and maybe I'm grabbing an extra scrap piece of paper and jotting down some, little things that I'm doing. But I'm not sitting down with my to-do list for the rest of my day and working to accomplish as much as I possibly can. It is something that will move the needle of my life forward. And so in these accountability sessions, for me, that looks like when I arrive to do my next deep work session, right before I do that, I reflect on what I did before and I note two things. One, did I accomplish what I needed to accomplish? And is that then, if I didn't accomplish it, is that what I'm also working on today? Right? What is next? And then I'm planning for, after I get done with my current deep work session, I'm planning for my next session. If that is a daily practice, then that's great. Some weeks it is a daily practice for me. Other weeks I need like 2 downtime deep work sessions and I'm good to go. So let that ebb and flow if that's something that you're needing. But I also prioritize downtime in the middle of my day. I have my calendar blocked at 1 p.m. to just be. This is when I start to remove all of the deep work that I just completed and I start to move into my shallow work. So I will use this time for whatever. Sitting in my recliner, taking a nap, although quite frankly, if anybody knows me, I rarely take naps and I really can take naps. I really would love to take one. However, my body just we don't operate that way around here in these parts. I go for a walk, I sit outside, I will walk away from whatever it is I am doing. What this does for me is it improves my thinking and replenishes my ability to practice deep work. With this deep work also comes a mindset shift. I had to really train myself through telling myself that I will address other thoughts later when I would drift off in the middle of something I was working through. But constantly reminding myself to be intentional also included me putting a sticky note on my monitor. For real, I have a sticky note that says intentional on my monitor. Eliminating distracting thoughts is hard work. I am still practicing, but sometimes I find it helpful to audibly say to myself, we will address these later. When those thoughts flow inside and out, I have to stop myself and say, we will address this later. And if they are still thoughts later, I will address them. But most of the time, the thoughts are fleeting thoughts that previously I would have immediately addressed just because they came to the front of my brain and not because they were actually important. So in this mindset shift, also, I have started to discern what apps are also appropriate for my mind during certain parts of the day. What I mean by that is I have all of my social media scheduled, and I actively plan when I will get on social media and when I won't. I also limit how far I will access social media and how far I will scroll and what I will search when my brain has a thought. Again, going back to sort of those fleeting thoughts, it's like, do 5 cows actually really jump over the moon? Before, I would go and Google, do 5 cows actually jump over the moon? And now I say to myself, we will address this later. If it's still a thought later where I feel like I have to research that, then I will. But most of the time, I've already thrown that out and didn't even remember what it was that I came across. And I know that you can put limits on apps for access, but doing the deep intentional work of speaking to yourself is so much better than allowing an automation to tell you what you are doing. Do you understand that? So when you say to yourself, and you can say it out loud, just don't answer yourself. People think you're crazy. I'm kidding. But you can audibly say to yourself, nope, Callie, we're not going to do that right now. You can get on your screen time at 3 p.m. Treating yourself that way allows you to position your brain to discern what the heart wants. It allows your brain to say, I'm not in control. If it's really something that she will want to do, she will come to it. But most of the time, we're always just sort of in this automated space where we just keep scrolling and we don't even think about showing up on Instagram half the time or going to Facebook half the time. Think about it. In your day, how many times do you actually intentionally show up to an app to do something other than scroll? I know you've heard me say a million times before to time block your day. And I assure you, this will be no different. Scheduling every single detail of your day is important. And I don't mean fill it with busy work from the time you get up to the time you go to bed. What I mean by time block is we're time blocking the deep work. We're time blocking the phone calls. We're time blocking the busy work. We're time blocking silence. And to just be still. What this does is it causes you to prepare your body and mind for what is coming. And it allows your body that if you have carved it out for a time of rest, that when your body is prepared, so is your mind, and your work is so much more thoughtful. Part of this time blocking also means that you are delegating to those who are on your team, both professionally and personally. If you own a company and you have a team of people behind you, but you are still doing a ton of the work, let me just empower you for 1 minute. You hired a team of people for a reason. Take a look at that. Make that part of your deep work. If you are struggling to delegate, if you are struggling to really offload some of these things, which is peeling back the onion layer through your days and really get intentional about your work day so that you are able to determine what you need to hand off, then that's what you need to do. But most importantly with this, I want you to remember one thing. You hired people for their zone of genius. People are capable of adapting and improvising to assist you. Could you find a small sliver of time to teach someone how to do something so that you can get it off your plate? And it isn't a matter of could you, but you should. We get so wrapped up into just doing the things because it's quicker and it's easier. But what we forget is if we just use a small portion of our time to teach, it opens up the reoccurring task to then be the responsibility of the person we trust to take it on. For personal delegation, though, that's a hard conversation with people who also occupy your house. If you are in a space where you can hire or delegate help, do that. For me, that looks like the housekeeper to deep clean every other week. I create a chore list for these teams that enhance the cleanliness of the home, and I put our grocery orders on autopilot, utilize Amazon, all of the things. The little work you have to do now saves your mind from overthinking and creating anxiety from being overloaded. It is creating your own personal processes and systems for your life so that you can get off the hamster wheel. Here's what I learned when I started doing my deep work. My time is a commodity that I don't get gifted back. I have to make the most of it. And by making the most of it means that I am intentional. If that's silence, if that's client work, if that's my business work, if that's just for me to be fun, my time, I don't get back. And so I have to make sure that when I'm using my time, I'm using it well. There is not one thing that demands my attention within my dedicated boundaries that is worth me allowing it to distract me. I can delegate the things that I want and need because they are essential to me in growing as a better human, which then allows me to be a better spouse, a better mother, a better business owner, and a better friend. Sometimes in the deep work, you will find that there are things and people that just need to leave as fast as you receive the realization that they do. If you're fighting for deep work and you know that you are feeling restless and are full of anxiety and are wondering, what in the world are you even doing? I encourage you to buy this book. It's called Deep Work: Rules for Focused Success in a Distracted World by Cal Newport. And it really changes the way you think about yourself and the little corner of the world that you are living and serving in. But the bottom line is you are worth this deep work. If you are struggling to feel fulfilled, if you are struggling not knowing what the first step is, I would encourage you to just take the first step, to give yourself 30 minutes, an hour of your day to just spend it with you. Journal, read, whatever that looks like for you, whatever makes you happy, do those things. You are worth the deep work. Thanks for listening to That Big CEO Energy. If you heard something today that helped you, I would love it if you would leave a review and share it with your friends. This helps more people like you become inspired just like you are. If you would like to learn more about how I can help you streamline and position your business for growth or lead your business as a CEO, feel free to jump into the show notes with all of the links to find me, and don't forget to head over to Instagram so we can be pals.